All right, guys, we're now going to look at two-step equations. Now, as we're doing this, I want to remind you that before we used to do things where we had like numbers and we had stuff in parentheses, and we were able to work this out and get a final answer. That was our whole purpose. And so when we did this, we followed a step of operations, an order of operations called PEMDAS. Remember that? Now with PEMDAS, that said the most important thing to do here is start with the thing inside the parentheses. And then you move to the exponents, and then the multiplication division, which actually went hand in hand, and then the addition subtraction. And we followed that order to make sure that everything was done in the correct order of operations. Now, we're doing something very similar now, but it's actually the opposite. We already have the answer. I already know that my answer to the first question is 6. I know this one is -1. I know that one's 3. We know the answers already. What we're looking for is one of these pieces that was inside of the expression to start with. And so instead of following PEMDAS forwards, what we have to do is we have to get rid of everything else. So we have to do the weakest things first. We're going to actually go through PEMDAS backwards to start at that outer layer and peel it apart little by little. Okay? So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to take the weakest operations, addition, subtraction, do those first, and then we'll do the multiplication, division, and then we'll do exponents, and then we'll do anything that's inside the parentheses. So let's see if we can do that as we're looking at these problems. So we'll start with this one, 3x minus 2 equals 6. I've got multiplication here, and I've got subtraction. Which of those two is the weaker link, according to PEMDAS? Well, the addition subtraction is the weakest link. So that's the first thing I'm going to take care of, is I'm going to add 2. And so then I have 3x equals 6 plus 2 equals 8. Remember, if you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. And now I've got the 3 times x, which is multiplication, and so now I can go ahead and get rid of the 3. So I'll divide both sides by 3. And in doing this, I'm going to end up getting the x all by itself. And yes, it's 8/3, and yes, that's a fraction, but deal with it. That's life. Fractions happen. All right? Very good. Let's go on to the next one. Again, looking at PEMDAS backwards because we're trying to get one of those pieces that we started with. Actually, sorry, we should actually check this. How do we check? Well, we take the 8/3 and we put it in for x. So we go 3 times 8/3 minus 2 equals 6. So when we multiply, remember you multiply straight across. I'm going to make this a 3/1. So 3 times 8 is 24/3 minus 2 equals 6. 24/3 is 8 minus 2 equals 6. And sure enough, that is correct. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. So now, again, I've got a division here, and I've got a plus 3. So which of those is the weaker link? Hopefully you recognize that it's the plus 3. It's the addition there. So we're going to take care of that first by doing the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 3. If I do it to this side, I got to do it to the other side, just like always. Keep that balance, right? So then we have x over 5 is equal to -1 minus 3, which is -4. If that's confusing, change it to a plus a negative. So I've got 1 negative, and I've got 3 more negatives, which give me 4 negatives. Now at this point, I have x divided by 5. So how do I get rid of divided by 5? Well, I'm going to multiply by 5. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go times 5 on this side. I'm going to go times 5 on that side. Now, just like the plus 3 and minus 3 canceled each other out, the times 5 and the divided by 5 are going to cancel each other out, which means we're going to be left with x equals -4 times 5, which is -20. And so from there, if we want, and you should, you take that and you check it out by substituting it back in. So we'll go -20 over 5 plus 3 equals -1. -20 divided by 5 is -4. And -4 plus 3 is -1. Check! All right, hang around. We'll do one more. So we look at the -x plus 7 equals 3. And again, the weakest. We've got a -x, and we've got a plus 7. So the weakest part again is the addition subtraction. I got the plus 7 here. So to get rid of plus 7, I'm going to subtract 7. So I go -7, -7. And so I've got, this is still a -x, so -x equals 3 minus 7, which is -4. Again, the -7 and the plus 7 cancel each other out. So I'm left with a -x equals -4. So all I need to find, I don't want to know what -x is. I want to know what x is. So how do I change it from a -x to an x? Well, I multiply by -1. But if I multiply this side by -1, I got to do it to the other side. And negative 1 times negative x is positive x. And negative 1 times negative 4 is 4. And so supposedly x equals 4. To check that, we just go right there, and we substitute it in. So we go negative 4 in parentheses, because I'm good little algebra 1 student. I know to substitute in parentheses when I substitute. And then negative 4 plus 7. Oh yeah, 7 minus 4 is 3. Check. All right, so there you go. You got two-step equations in the bag.